Turner, go on ahead and tell your good father where you left your bat and glove this morning." "They're on the front porch," said Turner's father. "My boy Willis brought them up," said the deacon. "Seems he found them on the shore." Turner felt the eyes of the room come upon him. "I was on Malaga Island," he said. Reverend Buckminster licked his lips. "What were you doing on Malaga Island?" What could he say? That he had practiced with Lizzie, dug for clams, and eaten them later in a chowder so good that he might have given up Eden for it? That he had spread his arms and flown with the trips? That he had sat quietly by the water's edge and dreamed dreams? That he had found a place that was more home than home? Boating. In whose boat? Reverend Griffin's dory. Reverend Buckminster looked at Turner as though his son were Peter about to betray the Lord. Turner wondered what was so awful about going out in Reverend Griffin's dory. He wondered if there was some new rule for a minister's son that he hadn't come up against yet. If there could possibly be yet another rule that he hadn't come up against already. You went out in a Negro's dory. How do you know what might happen? Nothing happened. It's not his fault, Reverend, said Mr. Stonecrop smoothly. It's not his fault at all. That's how they are. They're sly and crafty, making out all the time that they're dumb. But they're thinking, plotting. Here's the minister's son, they think, and if we can just get him on our side, we'll get the minister. And if we get the minister, we get the church. And if we get the church, you see how it goes. That's how they used your son. And it wasn't the old preacher Griffin that they sent out to you, boy, was it? No, sir, it wasn't the old preacher. Why don't you go on ahead and tell your father who you were with today? Lizzie. Speak up, son. I don't think your father heard you. Lizzie Griffin. And Turner felt dirty, as though he really had been caught doing something vile. And he knew that what Mr. Stonecrop was saying was an out-loud lie. A dirty, stinking, out-loud lie. But he couldn't figure out how it was a lie. Lizzie Griffin, a negress, Reverend, just Turner's age, the daughter of the only Jonah this town has ever seen. Good Lord, son, I hope you didn't enter her house. There are enough stories going around about you. Silence from Turner. Reverend Buckminster blowing out his breath. So you did go in, said Mr. Stonecrop. Well, a minister's son should know that stories tend to stay around and settle in. So that after a time, no one is asking whether or not they're true. They just become true. True about you and true about all those associated with you. Gentlemen, said Reverend Buckminster slowly, there clearly are real dangers I had not anticipated. He looked at Turner, and Turner saw in his eyes distrust. Perhaps the Lord is leading you in your efforts. And if so, then what else could the minister of First Congregational say but that he is with you in this? That, Reverend, is what we came to ask, said Mr. Stonecrop. And it will not be long before Phippsburg is free from this sordidness, and we can start to rebuild ourselves. Some day soon, the settlement on Malaga Island will be no more. And that was the moment that Turner realized what was being plotted. And there wasn't a thing he could say without helping the plot all the more. He thought suddenly of Mrs. Hurd, first to the nose, then to the eye. Mr. Stonecrop discarded his prop.